Questions are important, but questions do not necessarily precede a project in artistic research. Questions emerge as you develop and prepare a project, and they continue emerging as you are doing the project. In artistic research, one never stops having new questions. And more important than to have questions is to establish what I describe as a field of problematicity, a ground where problems, doubts, questions, ideas, hypotheses, analytical and creative solutions become thinkable. This is a space that enables the formation of a discourse with aesthetic and epistemic components. It is within such a space that questions are constructed and formulated. When thinking about research questions, it is helpful to distinguish between different kinds of questions. One kind are factual questions, questions that directly relate to facts. For example, when did Chopin compose his Waltz No. 1? This is a kind of question about which we might not know the precise answer immediately as we are talking, but we do know that there is an answer to it. And rather quickly, one will find out that Chopin's Waltz No. 1 was composed in 1831. We might also ask on which instrument and for whom was that particular waltz written. Again, we might not know it now, but we do know that there are answers to these questions. Thus, the first kind of questions, the factual questions, are questions about which we know that they have answers. Next, there is a type of questions that deal with formal, structural, measurable elements of a musical object. For example, which form has that particular waltz by Chopin? How is its harmonic progression organized? How are its metric and rhythmic relations arranged? Moreover, you can listen to recordings of that waltz made by different pianists and scrutinize their tempi, rubati, dynamics, etc. In this type of investigation, you are examining the materials from an analytical perspective. Therefore, these are analytical questions. They deal with measurable traits of a musical work. Again, these are questions that do have answers. We might not know them immediately, and there might be different answers according to which analytical tools you are using, but we do know that they have answers. Another type of questions are speculative questions. For example, one might wonder if there is a relation between the early 19th century waltz and the classical minuet. Is the waltz somehow a transformation of the minuet? This kind of questions is more speculative because there is no straightforward, univocal yes or no answer to them. Instead of precise answers, such questions generate discursive constructions in which hypotheses do not need to be proved or denied, but simply discussed, eventually leading to new insights and ideas, which might be very interesting and illuminating, thus making knowledge advance. These three types of questions, factual, analytical, and speculative, are the normal kind of questions posed by music historiography, music analysis, music theory, music philosophy, or sociology of music. In order to formulate and answer such questions, you can, but you do not need to be a practitioner. You don't need to be an artist to address them. As a composer or as a performer, you can ask these kind of questions, but a non-practitioner can equally and successfully deal with them. But there is another kind of question that fundamentally requires artistry and a particular mode of dealing with music materials. For example, you might ask yourself how to turn a waltz into an object of discourse within a performance. how to unravel the processes of making and unmaking a waltz in front of an audience, how to move beyond repetitive reproduction or pedagogical transmission in a performative situation. Such questions are the distinctive questions of artistic research. More than providing quantifiable answers, they problematize the music materials in unforeseen ways. They contribute to an artistic and epistemic expansion of knowledge and experiences. These are creative questions. Questions about which we not only don't know if they have an answer, but which also necessarily demand artistic practice, artistic know-how, and the making of artistic outputs. To conclude, I want to stress that all these different kinds of questions are important to artistic research. The creative questions are certainly the crucial ones for artistic research, the ones where an artist researcher will make a difference. But you will get lots of information, ideas, and inspiration from the other three types of questions: the factual, the analytical, and the speculative. Thus, artistic research can benefit from conventional modes of research, yet it should clearly differentiate itself from them. And this can only happen through the use and development of artistic means. Once you have defined your area of research, your field of problematicity, your objectives should be the making of artistic outputs, performances, compositions, installations, recordings, web-based platforms, whatever. On your way towards such artistic realizations, you will collect many ideas and information that can be used for the writing of essays, for your doctoral or postdoctoral thesis, for spoken presentations, and web-based communications. Finally, the design of a research project in artistic research is simply to give a logical and operational structure to all these components of your work, to your questions, your speculations, and your outputs. You will have to establish the basic landscape of your research, its context, your objects of inquiry, your case studies, and how they are situated in relation to each other in that landscape. And you will have to plan what to do with such objects, your outputs. This will inform your research in terms of background, methodologies, questions, objectives, and foreground. In this sense, the design of a project is pretty much like the writing of a book or of a musical piece. It is a composition made of different parts and materials that are brought together in a coherent network of problems, questions, content, and expression.